The Dallas Mavericks have easily been one of the worst teams in the NBA this season, but as ugly as the season has been, the future does still look promising. Hello everyone and welcome back to Step Back with Zach, and in today's video, I want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks' life after Luka and what comes next. Before we go any further though, please don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Now I have no idea what happened in my last video, but that video has absolutely exploded and I have far surpassed my subscriber goal. I wanted 100 subscribers before April and we're at 117 right now. So thank you guys so much, and please don't forget to keep showing support. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Holy crap, it is boiling. I'm going to die. I can't wait for winter.
Now firstly, I want to talk about the expectations that the Dallas Mavericks had before coming into this NBA season. After trading away NBA superstar and royalty Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a future first-round pick, this team definitely turned into more of a win-now type of squad, instead of a future powerhouse, which they were looked at being while they still had Luka Doncic. Now, Anthony Davis on paper is a very good player. He's a dominant two-way big man. He's been one of the best defenders in the NBA that we have ever seen. And although he doesn't have a Defensive Player of the Year award to show for it, his impact on that side of the ball is definite. It is so apparent. However, oh my god, I'm dying. It's so hot. Anthony Davis in his very first game as a Dallas Maverick looked dominant. 26 points, 16 boards, 7 assists along with 3 blocks before going down with an injury. Shock. He only suited up in 9 total games with the Mavericks last season, resulting in them missing the playoffs entirely. And because of the injury to Anthony Davis and the absence of Luka Doncic, All-Star Kyrie Irving had a much bigger offensive burden on him than what he is probably used to. And being probably 32 at the time, all that impact and all that burden had an effect on his body. In a game against the Sacramento Kings last season, Kyrie Irving ended up tearing his ACL in the very first quarter, which ruled him out for the team's last 21 games, 2 of those being playing games. After the injuries to Kyrie and Anthony Davis, the team primarily ran their offense through Najee Marshall, who's a good player, but he should not be your team's primary initiator. He should not be your team's primary offensive player. The Mavericks go 7-14 without Kyrie Irving, resulting in them finishing with an overall record of 39 wins and 43 losses. And with a record like this, it shows they are very middle of the pack. They finished as the 11th seed last season because of the fact they did not advance through the play-in tournament. Now this record clearly shows as well that they're not bad enough to have a high chance at winning the lottery, but they're also not good enough to make a playoff spot. This kind of seemed like they were going to be stuck in that NBA purgatory while they're waiting for their guys to recover from injuries. Not good enough to make a solid playoff run, but also not bad enough to win the lottery. The future for Dallas was looking very bleak indeed. However, the Dallas Mavericks going into the NBA draft lottery only had a 1.8% chance of landing the #1 overall pick and get the rights to select the consensus #1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg. And if they could somehow pull off a miracle and land this #1 overall pick, it would make this Luka Doncic-Anthony Davis trade hurt a little bit less for the Dallas fan base. And we all know what happens from there. Because of the fact that the Dallas Mavericks still looked really promising defensively and just had big bodies everywhere, having Cooper Flagg and Anthony Davis and Derek Lively still there, Kyrie Irving coming back, etc., the NBA actually had the Dallas Mavericks as the 13th place in their preseason power rankings. And it's very easy to see why. Coming into the season with a healthy Anthony Davis as the #1 guy, the Dallas Mavericks were looked at to be an incredible defensive unit, having big bodies everywhere. Cooper Flagg, Max Christie, PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, Klay Thompson's a solid perimeter defender. This team also looked like a unit that would go and get every single rebound that there possibly was. However, the one thing that was holding the Dallas Mavericks back was their lack of on-ball creation and playmaking. Kyrie Irving was still not ready to suit up for the Dallas Mavericks to start this season, so the biggest question was, where is their offense going to come from? Now, what has happened since the start of the NBA season? The Dallas Mavericks currently sit with a record of 19 wins and 30 losses, which is good for the 11th seed out west. Head coach Jason Kidd made a very questionable decision to start the season, choosing to start Cooper Flagg at the point guard position for the first 7 games of the season. In this first 7 games, the Dallas Mavericks dropped to a record of 2-5, so not the best, and a very clear lack of on-ball creation was obvious. Those first 7 games, Cooper Flagg averaged 13.6 points per game along with 6.3 boards and 2.9 assists per game along with 2.1 turnovers. So that assist to turnover ratio, not good. And he did this on 38.8% shooting and 30.8% from 3. Again, not great. And this slow start is of course going to happen when you play someone who has no NBA experience at a position they're not used to playing while needing to have so much offensive burden because of the fact they don't have offense anywhere else. However, since then, Cooper Flagg has been really dominant. We'll go more into that very soon. Anthony Davis has also had a very up and down kind of year where of course he's dealt with injuries and he's been on and off the court. He's only played in 20 games of the Dallas Mavericks' 49. And of course, he's dealing with one now that's pretty significant. Some games he's looked like an unstoppable paint presence and a post maestro. And other games he's just looked just like another player on the court. The most glaring thing about the Dallas Mavericks' lack of success is the fact that they don't have any reliable offense. The Mavericks currently sit 23rd in the NBA in terms of points per game. They make the second lowest amount of threes per game on the fifth least amount of attempts and the fifth worst percentage. They also can't make free throws to save their goddamn lives. They are the second worst team in the entire NBA in terms of free throw percentage at 74.5%. They're also ninth worst in assists per game while turning the ball over the 10th most amount of times per game across the association. They are 23rd as well in true shooting percentage. Bad. They are 27th in terms of offensive rating this season at a 110.3 and have a minus 2.3 net rating, which is 22nd. They make the second least amount of passes per game, resulting in them sitting 7th in the entire NBA in terms of percentage of points coming off of drives. They are 24th in points off turnovers and 29th in second chance points. And for a team this big, that stat really shocked me. And as well, for a team that should be really dominant defensively, they let up a lot of points in the paint themselves. Newly acquired guard D'Angelo Russell was expected by some to be a really solid piece for this Dallas Mavericks side, being the point guard and a lead on-ball creator that the Mavericks could rely on. However, that has not been the case. D'Angelo Russell has been awful. Klay Thompson as well. He started the season so poorly that Jason Kidd has decided to bench him. But since his bench role, he's actually been a lot better. He's showing obvious signs of regression. However, he's still an elite three-point shooter, currently shooting 38%. The Dallas Mavericks are also 13-20 in clutch games. They have played the most clutch games this season, and the lack of a true point guard or someone that's going to help steady the offense and slow it down and just keep everyone calm and poised is a big reason that they have such a bad losing record in these clutch games. They can't execute. At the start of the year, and very understandably so, head coach Jason Kidd was just kind of throwing shit at the wall and hoping that it would stick. With a crazy roster turnover with injuries and needing to fill in spots and plugging in and playing players that probably shouldn't be playing, I just said a lot of P's right there, that was nuts. He has run through so many different starting lineups. This lack of cohesion and chemistry building has really hindered them as well. The Dallas Mavericks have had 26 different starting lineups this season, and that leads the entire NBA. But probably the biggest thing that the Dallas Mavericks have struggled with most this year, and I know before I said the lack of offense, but aside from that, it is their injuries. We of course know that Kyrie Irving is out for the entire season. He's still out indefinitely. There is no timetable for his return. Derek Lively, only 7 games into the NBA season, went out with a season-ending foot surgery, so he's not going to be back. Dante Exum, and although he's not a big part of the lineup, he's still out for the entire season. He got ruled out late November. And then we've had Anthony Davis, who's been in and out of the lineup all year, but he has recently sustained a finger or a hand injury, which has resulted in damaged ligaments, and he's not going to be reevaluated for another month or so, and he's probably going to miss at least 2 months in total. Cooper Flagg's also been dealing with a shoulder injury, but that was earlier in the season. That shoulder injury is seemingly behind him now. PJ Washington's been dealing with injuries. Brandon Williams, who's been incredible off the bench, by the way, sustained a knee contusion last night against the Houston Rockets. Daniel Gafford missed the first 5 games of the season for the Dallas Mavericks, but since then he's come back and he's been important, but he has been in and out. More in than out, but he's definitely still been dealing with some injuries here and there. And then a bunch of other players on this roster have also been dealing with nagging injuries. But the future of this Dallas Mavericks team looks so bright. Cooper Flagg, my oh my. This dude is looking like everything that we thought that he was going to be. And then from my point of view, he's been even better. 19.8 points per game, which is first amongst all rookies, 6.6 boards, which is third amongst rookies, and 4.1 dimes a night, which fourth amongst rookies. He's also averaging 1.2 steals per game, which is fourth among rookies, and 0.8 blocks, which is seventh among rookies. To go along with 2.2 turnovers, which is like third or fourth among amongst rookies on 48.4% field goal shooting, which is 17th amongst rookies, but a pretty bad 28.9% from 3 and 79.6% from the charity stripe for an overall true shooting percentage of 55.9. This is all in 34 minutes per game, which is second amongst rookies, only behind VJ Edgecombe. But like I said, Cooper Flagg has been so incredible. 2 games ago, against the Charlotte Hornets and against his Duke teammate Con Knuppel, he dropped 49 points on elite efficiency, 77.4% true shooting, and then followed that up with a 34-point game against the elite defense of the Houston Rockets. However, that 49-point game sets not only a new career high for him, but is the most points scored in NBA history by a teenager and the 13th most points scored in a single game by a rookie. And this is the most amount of points we've seen a rookie score since Trae Young scored 49 all the way back in 2019. But what's more impressive about this is that Cooper Flagg did this in the least amount of minutes in the top 20 single game scoring totals from any rookie ever. This is also a new franchise record for the Dallas Mavericks for points scored by a rookie in a single game, breaking Mark Aguirre's record of 42, which Coop also actually tied earlier on in the season. He's also had a game where he's dropped 35 points, 34 points like I just mentioned, and 32 points. So Cooper Flagg's looking like a much better scorer than I originally thought. He's got an absolute elite touch at the rim. His ambidextrous ability helps him shoot 77% at the rim this season on 159 attempts. This dude is leading the Dallas Mavericks team at 19 years old and is looking more confident than ever at getting his own shot and creating his own offense, and is looking like an elite future talent. The only thing that Cooper Flagg definitely needs to work on though is his jump shooting. He's shooting 39.5% on jumpers this season. Not great. And ultimately, in my opinion, Cooper Flagg is the rookie of the year this season. They've also got some really other solid young pieces. Derek Lively, for example, is one of my favorite big men in the NBA. He's a really solid rim running center and a great rim protector, and he is 7'3" apparently, which is crazy. Max Christie is only 22, by the way, and I had no idea he was still that young. He's a really good shooter and a great perimeter defender, and is going to be a great POA guy for years to come. The Dallas Mavericks have their own pick this year, and if you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, or if you're the Dallas Mavericks in general, you probably want to start losing more games so that pick can be conveyed higher. However, if we look at last season, maybe they don't actually need to be as bad as people probably think. But if they can land a top 4 pick, that's going to pair a Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, AJ DeBanza, or a Caleb Wilson all next to Cooper Flagg, or one of them next to Coop, which would be nuts. And on top of this, they've also got some tradable assets on the squad as well. PJ Washington, he could go for something good. Daniel Gafford, he could go for something good. Najee Marshall, he could go for something good. And then of course they still have Anthony Davis, who they can flip for some valuable young pieces as well as picks. And because Nico Harrison is no longer involved in the Dallas Mavericks organization, the front office can actually take a step back and see the blueprint of what not to do once you actually get a superstar talent. Don't trade them, and then you will be fine. Now, ultimately, this team was built around Luka, so that's a big reason that this team isn't really looking so impressive yet. However, having a young guy in Cooper Flagg, the youngest player in the entire NBA, by the way, to build around, is going to be super nice. Now, lastly, what can they do to actually get better? The Dallas Mavericks need to bring in some shot creators and playmakers off of the bench. They need to get some more guys who can knock down an open 3 and consistently do it while also playing some pretty solid defense on the other side, being able to even create their own shot from time to time. They need to keep up this insane defensive identity that they've created. They are 10th in defensive rating right now, and they are just big bodies and they're always up in your face. Getting Kyrie Irving back will be really great for this team. However, he is 33 coming off a torn ACL. So that goes back to those other shot creators that the team needs to bring in as well. And they need to move on from Anthony Davis. This guy is chewing up so much salary space. Between $55 million and $62 million at the end of his contract, they are not going to have any room to bring in anybody. And the fact that the dude doesn't play, man, I can't believe what Nico Harrison was thinking. What an idiot. I've talked about Nico Harrison so many times. I don't want to do it anymore. Sick of him. He's old news. He's in the past. We need to move on. And obviously, I know that these things are a lot easier said than done. However, bringing in all of these people, a secondary shot creator alongside Kyrie Irving when he comes back, or a main play initiator, a true point guard, these are some things that the Dallas Mavericks will need to become even better. This season may be remembered as a bad one for the Dallas Mavericks, but it could also be the turning point for a future NBA powerhouse. Now, that is all from me for this video. Let me know what you guys think about the Dallas Mavericks this season and what their future holds, how good Cooper Flagg's been, anything of that sort of sense. I enjoy watching the Dallas Mavericks. I can see glimpses of what they can become. But like I said in the intro, please don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.